Hello and welcome back to Helldivers 2 Loadout Roulette. Today's loadout is the BR-14 Adjudicator, the Plas-15 Loyalist, and the TED-63 Dynamite. Our armor is the SC-34 Infiltrator. I've said before, Scout, kind of a useless passive. The detection can be useful, but my playstyle is just run and gun anyways. We have the CE-27 Groundbreaker helmet and the Judgment Day cape. And today we're going against the Illuminate, so I will see you in the mission.
Let our enemies take no step that is not hindered by the corpse of their comrade.
Squid outpost spotted.
Calling down fortifications.
That was awkward. I was going to throw that, and then everybody ran towards where I was going to throw the mines. Our stratagems are the 110mm rocket pods, orbital airburst, anti-personnel minefield, and grenadier battlement. So we don't have a lot of anti-vehicle again, which kind of sucks, but whatever. So as of this recording, we have not heard anything about the next war bond. Some people are saying like, oh, it's going to be the stealth war bond, we're finally getting it. I don't know. I'm skeptical enough to be like, it could be, but nothing's set in stone. So I'm not going to sit here and get hyped over what may or may not happen. Plus, as of the time of this recording, we're at like 4.5, 5 weeks? Not exactly 5 weeks. Because otherwise we know what the war bond is a week out. I think at this point we're just kind of waiting mostly for this current major order, this story element for the stupid Meridia black hole to finally end. Because I think that's what's holding it back. This is going to be another, like, Omens of Tyranny situation, where we don't get the next bit of content until that happens. Because everything's kind of lining up to be that way right now. I don't know how I feel about it. I'm just honestly sick and tired of the Meridia black hole. It's such a drawn out and boring story element at this point. And I think a lot of people are just over it. I think Arrowhead really needs to learn just a better way to tell a story. Because this, oh, it's this looming threat in the background. Yeah, but people don't care because every time it's destroyed a planet, we haven't gotten to experience anything. You know, the missions on the planet itself don't have like a cool skybox or any chain of like, we have to escort civilians off the planet and seeing it slowly kind of close in, or at least see it in the sky. It's just like, oh yeah, the black hole's coming sometime, you'll see it on the galactic map. It's like, I don't care, dude. So it's like, until we get a better method of storytelling, I think these existing attempts are just going to be more or less for naught. Because my guess is after we finally do the black hole thing, I think that's where we're going to get the defense of Super Earth. Because that's what people have talked about, and data mines have showed, like, we vote for a president, which, unless that's going to become like a monthly or every 2 month thing, I I think it's going to be kind of just bland. Because it's either going to be no value and just story, or it's going to be something that offers tangible benefits. But then as a player, you need to be able to change that at some point. Huh, so that shield seems a lot more durable than it used to be. Because I don't remember it being able to just eat grenades like that. Then again, what do I know? Yeah, they just need to change some stuff, and I get the feeling even with the addition of new Illuminate units, people still aren't going to care too much, because it's still the Illuminate. I think the next big thing will be probably, if I were to venture a guess, it'll be when we finally get the proper, like, boss enemies. Like the Terminated Hive Lord, I think it was. Stuff like that. I take it our guy just went splat into the mines. I'd like to see that. That's my big thing, because there's been so many hints of new systems and special sub-objectives that'll show up if you do a certain thing or you recover a certain item, that not having them at this point kinda sucks. Because it always kind of boils down to looking at the devs and being like, what are you guys doing? Because sadly, that's kind of the mentality I've started to develop, is like, what are you guys even doing at this point? Because I'm starting to question it. And I'm not going to sit here and be... I'm not an Arrowhead nut hugger. I'm not going to sit here and be like, they can do nothing wrong, they're the greatest, because we know they screw up. They screw up quite a bit. But I'm also not going to sit here and say that they're just recklessly incompetent and should all be fired from their job like some people think. Personally, I think it's a bit of a balance of there's a little too much incompetence and just... I'm starting to wonder if they're kind of letting themselves get pulled in multiple directions. Because, like, people, you can find people who said, like, yeah, the stuff that's been added to war bonds is the same, but they just take longer. And then people will go, oh, well, they're more balanced now. It's like, no, they really aren't. Balance is still up in the air half the time. Let's not act like half of this stuff comes out and it isn't broken, or, as we saw with the ultimatum, it performed a little too good for their liking and they suddenly had an issue. Which is sad, because the ultimatum was cool. But of course people find new things, like apparently factory striders, if you shoot them in the foot, they just insta-die. Didn't know that was a thing, saw a video on it, and I'm like, oh, okay. So it's like the argument of like, oh, well, the stuff's more balanced. It's like, no, it isn't. I would rather have more weapon variants and at least get stuff out on time than keep dragging our feet and being expected to be happy with stuff that gets nerfed or just comes out extremely late.
Throwing supply beacon.
Because I would take like some new laser rifle variants or
Terminal.
some older weapons from Helldivers 1 we never got to see come back yet. Like, I can't remember if it's the Tonto, the Sickle, whichever one. It might have been the Trident, where it's a laser rifle that fires one beam straight forward and then two at an angle on each side, which was a neat concept. Worked great in Helldivers 1.
Requesting air
Rocket
support.
pods, go! Watch as they do very little.
Unleashing democracy.
Oh, damn.
Throwing grenade.
Heavy. West. 100 meters.
And people said that the 110mm rocket pods suck. Just goes to show you can't trust what people say half the time. You just have to know how to actually use them.
Sending in an eagle.
Have a taste of democracy. New man. Fire in the hole.
We also haven't heard anything about the 40k cross-promotion thing. I think if that's coming anytime soon, it'll come with the update. I was wondering what was causing Rex to rain down. I thought we had a cool new effect, which, as I think of it, wouldn't this be cool? A new planetary effect that's like limited time, where what happens is it's like, oh, there was a big battle here. There's a ton of wreckage. And then as a result, we can have like wrecks or parts of shipwrecks come crashing down, kind of like the meteors and whatnot. Meteorites, if we're going to be correct on what it would be. Because meteorites have the right stuff to hit the Earth. That would actually be really cool. Once again, I'd like stuff like that, kind of limited time modifiers. Anything to mix it up so I don't have to deal with fire tornadoes again. Oh. Yeah, this map also, when we're defending civilians, I'll probably set up the Grenadier battlement, but it's always such a hit and miss stratagem. It's not bad. I've seen people who are like, oh, it's trash. No, it's limited in its use. Mostly because explosives are dumb and will sometimes just not work against... Oh, I mean, it's not sometimes, they just don't work against large targets or heavy armored targets. Concussion waves or pressure waves be damned, I guess. Because even if you don't have an organic unit within, like, a tank, you can probably rattle something loose. Can't tell me those things have every component welded down and ratcheted down 100%. No. Nothing here. In that case, let's go this way. I was hoping it'd be one of the good exits that's loaded with free stuff. Oh, as of this recording too, it came out that Marathon is they're getting rid of their NDA for their alpha gameplay because they're nervous how people are going to take to the game. So they're thinking just letting people play it and talk about it will help them. I don't know if that's going to help. You know, if we're going to be 100% honest, it's a trend that's kind of run itself dry already because it was so easy for studios to just retool a battle royale mode. So you know some games were like, oh, we're a battle royale, and then those started falling off and they're like, oh, well, we don't want to waste all the money, so we'll just swap a few parts here and there and give them an extraction shooter. I'd like for it to succeed, just because it's kind of tiring seeing so many big games flop. I think it's actually extremely bad. On one hand, it's a wake-up call for the industry. You know, people really gotta learn what to sign off on. But I also think we need more successes so that there is investment. Because as it stands, if you look at a lot of the indie studios that shut down and the names behind them, the new generation of studios that were supposed to fill in now are predominantly dead. Because investors were like, oh, you know, Scrimblow Bimpus Adventure 2 didn't sell 8 gorillion copies, so now we're not going to invest in anyone because clearly the sky is falling and the industry is doomed. And it's like, no, that's not how any of this works, but you're asking people who their only knowledge of the games industry is do line go up or do line go down, to have the cognizance to know, hey, actually the reason this underperformed is because, you know, you had a director who was just antagonizing potential customers, or they pulled a we don't need gamers to sell our product kind of byline, and turns out you kinda do. But yeah, I don't know. I'd like for Marathon to have been PvE, mostly because then I think you could do a lot more. I wish Marauders would have done a PvE mode. Such a cool game and a cool setting, and they're just like, oh, it's not on our list of things to do, and if you see a hacker, let us know, but we don't have hackers. I'm like, let's be honest. Every game has hackers at this point. There's too many dudes who, for one reason or another, are just belligerently ass-mad and want a game to essentially hand everything to them. that's become a huge problem. I mean, hell, there's people who hack in Helldivers. You'll get guys who will be like, everybody gets 500 of every mat, even though you can't, you know, take all of them. You'll just fill up to your max and then be done. But dudes will do that, and it's like, why?
Cancel that.
It's kind of funny because that kind of mentality is so strange, considering this game needs stuff to grind for. And if you just invalidate it, then what do you do? It's like the hackers who will sit here and like fire one bullet and it'll fly halfway across the map and insta-kill the targets, like the factory striders, if you have to destroy them. And it's like, why, dude? Just why? It's such a strange mentality.
Enemy patrol, south.
My leg! Tagging location. Cancel that.
I know recently Space Marine 2 added prestiging so that you can have something to do, which I actually did that with the Tactical Marine. I prestiged it. But their problem is they just don't have enough PvE content. Even though it's like 9 missions now, there are just certain ones like the Demon Host mission, and there's another one.
Enemy patrol, southeast.
The Demon Host, and God, I'm drawing a blank on the other one. I think it's just like a Keeper of Secrets? Or no, Changer of Ways. Changer of Ways is each. Like those two where like one of them you have to use the seals to change, to match, like you have to hit buttons to match a certain combination. And I remember doing that, and it's one of those missions where you do it once and it's like, yeah, I don't want to do this again. This kind of blows.
Calling in reinforcements. Sending in an eagle.
But so it's like you knock out 2 missions right there. The Bile Titan, that's another one where you do it once and it's like, okay, I've experienced that, I no longer wish to experience it, just because it requires a degree of competence from your team that on higher difficulties you have to have a squad of people you know, because otherwise you can't really, at least in my opinion, you can't reliably trust people. Where was my stuff? Because I'd like to pick it back up.
Calling down supplies.
Calling in extraction.
Request confirmed. Shuttle inbound.
Yeah, it's...
50 meters.
grind is always an issue. I've mentioned this in other videos, not about this, actually it was in one of my old Warhammer videos, discussing good grind versus bad grind. Good grind is meaningful things that you enjoy doing, bad grind being mindless garbage that is just there to pad playtime. You know, the kind of stuff where it's like, oh, to make this sword you need to get these materials, but then to make the top of the line version of the sword you need those same materials and a feather that drops from this raid boss at 2:17 a.m. and p.m. every third week in a month that has 31 days. You know, the kind of grind where you're just like, this is just stupid. And sadly, a lot of games have found that you can have that absurd grind as long as you get people hooked. Which that's another issue I remember seeing, where now we're dealing with people who are gaming addicts. People are trying to sue, like, Fortnite, a few others, over gaming addiction. Which is kind of funny, because they're like, oh, if you've played more than, like, 10 hours a week, you could be a gaming addict. I'm like, brother, there are days where I play for 10 hours. At that point, I'm the Tyrone Biggums of gaming. I'm sitting here itching and sitting here, y'all got any more of them servers? Yeah, I do find it kind of funny, because the addiction thing, people be like, oh, it's not real, and it actually is. That's the wild part. Because of how games have been designed these days, like, no one was in the 2000s being like, yeah, I'm addicted to attack and the power of Juju. I can't stop playing it. But modern games, they're built with all these retention gimmicks, and some studios do employ, like, psychiatrists or psychologists to figure out ways to get people more hooked. Which is the weirdest thing, but it makes sense. You know, you want that sweet MTX money, and you'll be damned if you're gonna let anything prevent you from making that money. It's very orange. Gotta say, like I said, this armor did not pan out. Like, run and gun, so we couldn't really utilize the detection. Pinging, I'm not pinging stuff. I think it's just a little too inconvenient and annoying to try to do. But it's like, I'm not gonna sit here and use that. Are you insane? We getting in the thing yet, or are we just gonna play the we gotta hold out for no good reason moment? I'm getting in. I'll force everybody on. But that is all for now. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to hit the like button. It helps out the channel a lot. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.